If you're a high performer who keeps trying harder to sleep, earlier nights, stricter routines, more supplements, this video might feel uncomfortable. Because the reason you're still awake isn't a lack of effort. It's because sleep is the one system in your life that breaks when you try to control it. And once you understand that, everything you've been blaming yourself for finally makes sense. Most high performers approach sleep the same way they approach everything else in their life. Identify the problem, apply a strategy, optimize. And that works in business. It works in fitness, it works in leadership, but with sleep, it quietly backfires. Because sleep is not something that you create through effort. It's something that happens to you when the conditions are right. And when you try to make it happen, even subtly, your body interprets that effort as pressure, and pressure keeps you alert. Think about what happens when you're lying in bed and you think to yourself, I need to fall asleep now because I need to get 8 hours of sleep. Otherwise, my day will be ruined tomorrow. Even just that first thought of, I need to fall asleep now, it creates tension and your brain shifts into monitoring mode. It shifts into alertness. And then you're thinking, am I asleep yet? Why am I still awake? How many hours will I get if I fall asleep now? And the more you monitor, the more alert you become. And this isn't because you have anxiety. It's because your nervous system is wired to stay awake when something feels unresolved or when there is a slight feeling of being unsafe. So let me break it down for you. Sleep happens when 3 systems are aligned: sleep pressure, your circadian rhythm, and your nervous system. Sleep pressure is the chemical that builds up in your brain and then makes you feel sleepy. The longer you are awake, the more it builds up. But if you nap or you go to bed too early, you reduce that pressure. And then you lie there wondering why you can't fall asleep. Your circadian rhythm is your 24-hour internal body clock. It controls when your body expects to be alert and expects to be asleep. So if you're going to bed at a time that your body doesn't recognize as sleep time, then you can feel exhausted mentally, physically, but you still won't fall asleep very easily. And your nervous system will not let you sleep if it detects even the smallest sign that you might not be safe. And that signal doesn't have to be life-threatening danger. It could be tomorrow's presentation. It could be an unresolved conversation with a colleague or a family member. It could be an unfinished task on your to-do list. Those can all feel like a threat and are enough to flick that switch to alertness. And I worked with a client, Alex, who is a sales director in a very high pressure role. He was exhausted every single night, but he was napping during the day to just survive, meetings. And he was going to bed early, hoping to catch up on his sleep. And that reduced his sleep pressure, right? So he would fall asleep because he was so exhausted, but then he'd wake up at 3, 4 a.m. And once he was awake, his nervous system just switched on and it wouldn't let him go back to sleep. So there were 2 systems that I identified as misaligned. And it wasn't a discipline problem or the wrong routine or bad habits. It was simply a misalignment in those 3 systems. So before you try any other technique or supplement tonight when you go to sleep, actually ask yourself, where could I be misaligned? Is my sleep pressure too low? Am I napping? Am I going to bed too early? Is my timing consistent? Are you going to bed and waking up at the same time? Are you getting enough daylight during the day? Is your nervous system still on high alert when you're going to bed or when you're waking up in the night? So instead of just adding more hacks and solutions, just look at alignment and look at which of these systems could be misaligned. One simple starting point could be just tracking your habits and tracking your sleep for a few days. Not to judge yourself or to control things, but really just to look at patterns and to identify which of the systems could be misaligned. And if you want help identifying which of those systems might be misaligned, I created a free sleep assessment toolkit, which you'll find in the link in the description below. It walks you through exactly what to look at, and it helps you see where your systems might be out of sync. Now, I want to talk about one common trap that high performers keep falling into when they're trying to fix their sleep, and that quietly keeps this cycle of bad sleep going. Because even when you understand all of this and you know what's causing your sleep problems, there is still one mistake that can really undo this. And I'll explain that in the video on your screen right now, so click to watch that now.